Welcome to 0 to 60. Matt McChesney. I am the owner and operator of 6 0 Football Academy and 6 0 Equipment. Played at the University of Colorado from 2004. 6 years in the National Football League on both sides of football.
That was his dream to play for Colorado.
McChesney grew up in Colorado, always wanted to be a Buffalo, has had a great career.
I'm Matt McChesney. This is 0 to 60. That is Coach Prime. We are at the University of Colorado. Brother, thank you so much. What's happening, everybody? Welcome to 0 to 60. Happy Tuesday to everybody out there. I'm your host, Matt McChesney. As usual, Bailey's on the ones and the twos. We have a big show for you here today. Mark Schlereth, the great Stink, joins us at 1:30. He's all over everywhere, 104.3 The Fan out here, all over Fox, all over the commentary. I mean, Mark does it all. So we'll talk to him about a lot of different shit. Always exciting to have Mark on the show. He's a great friend. And then we've got a ton of other just random topics to talk about here at the beginning of the show, including some Buff news, even though there's not really any Buff news. But, well, shit, we'll make some up. So big thanks to everybody out there, the Believe Network and YouTube and FanDuel and Game Time and everybody else that supports the show. So, Bailey, let's roll.
Let's roll. It's a fine Tuesday. This is going to be an electric show here. 0 to 60, the premier show for Colorado Buffaloes football coverage, brought to you by the Believe Network and FanDuel here. So if you guys are watching, go ahead and pound that like button, subscribe, and become a member. We're about to get down here. It's about to be a good show. And we start off, Matt, with Julian Lewis here. Massive season ahead for Juju here. He's got a lot to prove, Matt. And with that here, Sports Illustrated released a top 16 here. It's top 16 quarterbacks in the Big 12 here. Got Brendan Sorsby at the top, Drew Mestemaker coming to Oklahoma State with his coach, Coach Morris from Texas, North Texas. Got Devon Dampier over at Utah, Fafita, Arizona still, Avery Johnson at K-State. Keyshawn Henderson, Houston Cougars, new quarterback transfer. Got Lagway going over to Baylor from Gainesville. Got Alonza, that's Sports Illustrated again. Hire me, spell your shit right. Alonzo Barnett III coming to UCF from James Madison. Bear Bachmeyer, who we saw last season as a true freshman for BYU. And then at 10, we got Julian Lewis, Matt, followed by Jaden Craig, Cutter Boley going to Arizona State from Kentucky. Jalen Raynor going to Iowa State from Arkansas State. Hawkins Jr. to West Virginia, joining Rich Rod from OU. And then Isaiah Marshall at Kansas and J.C. French IV closing out that list. What are your thoughts of this list, Matt? I mean, I think Juju obviously has a lot to prove. We only saw him for part of the season this past year, kind of a limited capacity in different sorts, if you want to go that way. What are your thoughts on seeing this list here?
Okay. I mean, I don't really care. I mean, it's look, there's 16 teams. He's 10th. You know, that's probably makes sense. He hasn't played a ton. He's got a lot to prove. A lot of it is the fit with the offense and the offensive personnel and that gel, which I'm sure will happen. Mm-hmm. He's a hell of a talent. I know he can play the position, so it's just a matter now of going to do the job. So I think from a talent perspective, he's every bit as talented as all the guys in front of him, probably more physically talented. But he hasn't played. So, yeah, I mean, the 10 ranking that's not a bad thing. You know, it's not a spite or anything. People don't need to get mad at it. It's simply just a projection. And I would think that it's more apt to go this way than that way. I just knowing the kid and the family and, Marion's system and everything they're going to be doing. I'd like to think that he's going to progress and get better and better each week. And we'll see. So, yeah, I mean, look, it doesn't bother me that he's at 10. You always want to be a little bit higher unless you're number one, but that has to be earned. So we'll see how it goes. And then everybody in front of him, are they really are they really that ranking? Is Sorsby really the number one player? I don't know. At Cincinnati, he wasn't the number one quarterback in the Big 12, but at Texas Tech, he's the number one quarterback in the Big 12. So I don't know how that works. Right. If he was number one quarterback in the Big 12, he probably just doesn't really matter where you play. So we'll see how all this works. Usually you don't lose your starter to a conference rival, year by year. So that's weird. But yeah, this is an opportunity for Juju to maximize his earning potential and his talent and everything else. He's got a ton of time to play, and he has the keys. There's nobody else who's going to take that job. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know if the lack of competition for the job is good or bad. We'll figure that out as well. Knowing you have the job sometimes is a good thing. Knowing you have the job sometimes is a very bad thing. So I would like to think it's, again, this way with Juju. I think it's all up until I see something different.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Final question on Juju before we move forward. We got a lot to talk about. The fit, Brendan Marion, offensive coordinator. We kind of discussed this whole offseason here. I'm getting more and more questions. Hear your thoughts on it kind of as we head closer to spring ball. Your thoughts on Julian Lewis's fit with Brendan Marion's offense? I think he's more than capable, has all the physical tools to be in that go-go offense as QB1. What are your thoughts on Juju and Brendan Marion, that fit?
I think it'll be good. I don't have a reason to think it won't be. I'm more concerned about the offensive line and the personnel and, the skill players coming in and really gelling. I think they got some good players. The kid from Miami of Ohio, the slot receiver, he's a stud. I think that's where he's from.
Harry, yep.
The Scudero kid from San Jose State. That's how you say his name, right?
He's Scudero.
Yeah, Scudero. I can't remember how to pronounce it, but he's a stud. So they got dudes. Now it's just a matter of putting them in position to be successful and the offensive line blocking them up. The system can't be a cure-all. It's just a new system. There's a lot of teams that run concepts of the go-go. This is just Marion's baby. And you're bringing in the guy who invented it. So, but he didn't invent offensive football. He just invented a different path. So it'll be interesting to see how it all fits and glues together. The quarterback has to be a threat to run the ball a little bit in this system.
Sure.
I'm not saying he's got to run the ball a ton. I'm saying he's got to be a legitimate threat. And I don't know if I want Juju out there running the ball around in between the hashes. And he's not the biggest dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, learn how to slide, get down quick, because they're going to be fucking headhunting him. Just judging by the West Virginia game last year alone, that just make sure that you're taking care of yourself too, and you're not sacrificing the young kid, as he continues to develop in the system. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving forward on this year, Matt, I know Colorado Buffaloes fans are dying for some Colorado Buffaloes football. And Matt, the season's 3 days closer now. They end up moving that Georgia Tech game up 3 days to a Thursday game here. So now Colorado will face Georgia Tech on September 3rd. So that's kind of exciting. Season's a little bit closer. What do you any comment on this?
I'm sure it'll be nationally televised now.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Exactly. It'll probably be one of the openers, the Thursday night opener or something like that. So this is an opportunity to get back at Georgia Tech in their house. They got a new quarterback coming in now. They got, new players coming into that system, but they're going to be favored and probably by a touchdown or more, if I had to guess. I don't know what it is right now on FanDuel, but I would guess as we get closer to it, they'll probably be like a 7 or an 8-point favorite. Yeah, so that's got to be, you got to maximize that. This needs to be another TCU type moment where you're not sure what you're watching and what you're going to get. And hopefully they don't give away all the secrets all spring ball and record and put out everything. Although if they want to, it's their choice. I'm just saying, it's an opportunity to go TCU, Georgia Tech and really just kind of unveil the offense and what it is to everybody that night. So, and then it's national TV also. So every goddamn eye in the world will be glued to that game to see where this team's going. You know, this is a monumentally important season for Colorado, for Coach Prime, for all of his staff, for Juju, if it doesn't work this year, you're looking at a real possibility of like a lot of different people going a lot of different ways, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the season's 3 days closer, though. Something to look forward to on that aspect, Matt. But nonetheless, Julian Lewis has got a lot to prove here. I mean, I think there's a lot on the line for Juju, Coach Prime in Colorado as we head into the season here, and we'll dive into them more. But, Matt, it's time. Philip Lindsay responded to Christian Fauria's comments, criticism, so to speak, of Coach Prime in Colorado, and I got to get your take on this. Take a listen.
That sounds like to me is a man that is upset because of something else that he's not willing to say. And it has to be with my guess and his son. There's certain things that Coach Prime has done that I don't agree with. But the way that this man is going at Coach Prime, and by the way, you've sat there and you said that about Prime. What about the other coaches that have been losing? The Carl Durrells, Mel Tucker that leaves. You didn't hear him talking about them? What about when we were having our success? I didn't see him walking through the building in 2016 congratulating us, and we went to the Pac-12 championship. Like, to me, what he's doing, and everybody, they can do what they want to do. All right, there's certain things Coach Prime does I'm not a fan of. But that right there, what that man did right there, telling us all this, that was personal.
Look, you and I kind of reacted to the comments last week here, and I think, some of that shit seemed pretty damn personal, but I think there's a lot of truth in Christian's comments from last week. Matt, what are your thoughts on Philip Lindsay's response to Christian Fauria's comments?
Being friends with both of them, and Phil's one of my guys. I agree with a lot of what Christian said. I agree with a lot of what Phil said. I was on Whitlock this morning talking about this very thing. For some reason, there's this mass contingent of people that don't seem to think Coach Prime is like a smart dude, rather than just making dumb football calls. Those are two different things. So,
bingo, right there.
I don't want this to come off the wrong way. Does he make some boneheaded play decisions and decisions on the field? Yeah, he does. So does every coach. I mean, a lot of coaches fuck up. That doesn't mean he's smart or dumb off the field. So I agree with Phil in that regard. But after talking to Christian, though, too, Christian stands by what he says, and he's not a fan of the dude, and he went one route on the question he was asked. So Phil going after Christian saying, where were you? Where are you? Blah, blah, blah. Like, it's not really the same context or situation. So, who's to say he doesn't live here, so he can't just go to the stadium. It's a guy who's been supporting the program on the sidelines since I retired. He's got a point. Like, you'd like to see more faces up there supporting, but at the same time, I don't think it's really fair to act like Christian doesn't support just because you didn't see him at a game in 2016. So there's a lot of back and forth here. This is the ongoing turmoil in the Colorado fan base and alumni base between, both the prime sexuals, the guys who loved the program beforehand, guys who played there, everybody. So it doesn't seem like anybody's on the same page, and I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing, but I don't know if it's a good thing either. So I know it's kind of a beat around the bush answer, but I don't really know how to answer it. Neither one of them's wrong. So it's just an opinion. Christian was asked questions. He answered them. Phil responded. It's kind of what it is.
What do you say to the people who are like, even Phil saying, where were you guys when, Mel Tucker was here? Where were you guys when Darrell was here? Where were you guys for the last 20 years since you were on the roster? What do you say to that?
Well, I just said that. Like, it's not fair to say Christian wasn't here. We don't know. So it's that's what I was just saying. That's Phil's opinion, but to say he doesn't support just because he wasn't at a game in 2016 or whatever, that's not fair either. I'm pretty sure Christian lives in California. So, and look, did his kid play there for 3 years? Yeah. Was he just becoming like a a guy who could contribute when Prime came in? Yes. Did he get? Was he part of the exodus? Yes, he was. Did that probably rub Christian the wrong way? Yeah, obviously it did. But I also probably think that there was beef beforehand. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't like him when he was in the league. Like, I don't know. I haven't gone that deep on it. But again, the reality TV show of Colorado fucking football continues. I mean, and this is what they want. This is what everybody wants. It just drives more eyes. It drives more views. It drives more talking points. And unfortunately, our football program is a reality TV show right now. So hopefully it gets veers towards more of the football program side, but it is the off season. So what else are you going to talk about?
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Look, I think what you said, there's truth on both sides coming from Phil and coming from Christian. I mean, look, I don't agree with Christian's characterization of Coach Prime at all. I think there's a lot of truth to what he said, though. And I think deep down, Phil probably knows that as well. But I think he's taking the comments at face value, hearing him say he's a dumb coach and et cetera. I think he's taking that and reacting to it. I think also he knows that,
and he just went his route the same way Christian did. Christian got a question and answered it with passion and fire. Phil saw it and answered the question by Zach with passion and fire. I don't think Phil's wrong for his answer. You don't need to go after the guy's intelligence, but that's obviously how Christian feels. So I'm not going to tell him he's wrong either. Do I disagree with it? Yeah, I don't think Prime's a dumb guy. Like I told Whitlock this morning, like I don't think it's right to just call the guy stupid. Can you say some of his decisions are dumb? That's fair game. That's not what they're saying though. So it was personal, and I think it was meant to be personal, but I also don't think it was set up. I think the guy running the podcast just asked Christian a question and you got a real answer from him. Yeah. And it went this route. So
one thing about Christian, I mean, we've had him on the show. You know him very well. He ain't gonna hold back. He'll tell you the truth. He'll tell you the real.
He's not fucking around.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he did. Matt, last Colorado Buffaloes thing here. Our guy Tyler Martinez, New Mexico State transfer linebacker, kind of talked about his journey working his way up, and now that he's at CU here. Take a listen, Matt.
My high school didn't have a single Division I offer coming out. Was Defensive Player of the Year in New Mexico. Bet on myself, went JUCO, had a good year there. I finished top 5 in the country in tackles as a true freshman, I think. Went to New Mexico State after that. Loved my time over there. Very thankful for that place. Grew and developed over there for 3 years. And last year was actually supposed to be my last year of eligibility. And then in the 4th game, I went down with a season-ending ankle injury before the season ended. God told me it was time to go, so decided to enter the transfer portal, and I ended up here.
I'm excited to watch this cat play. I mean, we interviewed him. I love where his mindset's at. He's ready to crack some fucking skulls. Matt, what are you excited to see Tyler Martinez?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm excited to see what everybody brings to the table here, all these new cats with the biggest platform a lot of them have ever played on. Well, most of these guys are moving up in competition level. So, just because it's worked at other places doesn't mean it's going to just work here seamlessly. But at the same time, I'd rather see these kind of players get opportunity to go earn it and play hard and give a shit than, some of the other guys that we brought in that were just cast off 4 or 5 stars that really couldn't play in the first place. So was everybody they brought in last year like that? No. Salter's the Conference USA Player of the Year. It just Salter would have been great in this go-go system. Which, again, I've said this before, maybe this was trying to get set up last year and just didn't work out. So, we'll see what happens with all of this. I'm excited to watch this kid play. I've had him in the gym. He does a great job. He works hard, cares, as I think most people up there do. I think Coach Prime really gives a shit and really wants to turn things around and is tired of all the negativity pointed at them. But at the same time, a lot of this is – it's like you can only throw so much out there before it comes back at you. You feel me? So when 3 and 9 hits, people are going to take shots. So Christian definitely lobbed a 3-pointer. There's no doubt about that. So look, this isn't going to stop. Again, this is everything that Prime does and everything CU does is going to be amplified because it gets clicks. All right. There's other coaches that make bad decisions and good decisions. There's other coaches that lose players in the transfer portal. There's other coaches that, coach their kids, just not at that level. So it's, it kind of is what it is.
It is what it is. And Coach Prime, Colorado do have a lot to prove, but I can't wait to see Tyler Martinez prove it with them. One thing about those JUCO guys, those JUCO cats that have been through that, worked their way up, man. It's scrappy, and they have relentless effort. So, Matt, speaking of your gym, though, this rankings came out. Prep Red Zone ranked the top 10 players of the class of 2028. And boy, oh boy, do we have some good names on here, starting with Davis Moon, Colton Ott, Caden Myers, Ashton Noyes, Titus Heward, who I believe is related to Sam Heward. I played against him in high school.
Yeah, that's Washington quarterback's son.
Yeah, Brock Heward's kid, I believe.
Brock's
Elijah
son.
Cromwell, Bryce Bolton, and then at the bottom, Nicholas McChesney, who I've seen putting in work in your gym, man. He looks great. What do you got to say to this list?
Awesome. Again, another list. It doesn't mean a lot, but it is cool. Proud of my son. I have 256 players ranked in the state of Colorado. He's 10th. But I know he's pissed off because he goes to school with Bryce. He works with Leach. He works with Ashton. He works with Caden, and he works with Moon. And he's chasing that ass. And so they're chasing each other. And it's not a coincidence that half of the list is 6-0 guys. Cromwell is an incredible player at Creek and arguably should be higher. You can argue about the list and where they should be aligned and so on and so forth. But I don't think you can argue about the 10 kids being on it. Again, right when this was posted on Instagram today, some guy just chimes in that follows us. Like, oh, well, I guess you got to go to 6-0 to be on the list. And I'm like, again, another person that doesn't understand what we do. And is that a bad thing? So if you come to the gym and you bust your ass and I put the Prep Red Zone people in the gym to watch you, isn't that why you come there? So you can get seen? So we're in flyover Denver. No one's going to see you anyway. This is the thing, like parents out there. You can't be Batman and expect to get seen these days. You have a portal in your pocket. I film everything and post all of it. I mean, Nick missed his sophomore year, for God's sakes, with an injury, and he's still ranked 10th. That's because he can fucking play, but also because I put all the film in front of everybody constantly on what we're doing on a daily basis. You know what I'm saying? So this is an opportunity for kids to be seen. I don't understand why people are so hesitant, number one, to fight for yourself. Like, you're going to let a coach tell you that you can't help your own child. You don't deserve to get helped. You're being controlled, and you're a coward. Number two, this is all about investment. I tell everybody it's ROI based, return on investment. We flat rate everything. You pay me once, and you get to come as much as you can get your ass in the gym for a calendar year or longer if we make that deal. So economically, it's as cheap as I can possibly make it, because I want to make sure that we can maximize effort and minutes and reps and practices and eyes on. And then the foundation is real. Like, we put out players, and we don't just, this guy's like, oh, well, you do a great job promoting. We do a great job developing. Yeah. I just happen to use my phone correctly. I'm sorry you haven't figured out how to push send yet. But it's totally, I do a great job developing talent that wants to be developed. If you're a turd, you're also going to find that out in my gym. We just had a 3-star player quit the other day because he can't handle it. He doesn't want to do the work. Every time I coach him hard, he takes a week off because he's hurt. Like, it's just soft bullshit. And I exposed that in him. So now at least he knows it's the best lesson he ever paid for. He didn't invest. He paid for the program. Can't do anything with you if you're not going to fucking invest. Mark Schlereth about to come on the show. All right. Stink told me this a long time ago, and I remembered it, and I reiterate it all the time. It is a privilege to play in the National Football League, and really it's a privilege to play the game at all. And if you have the ability, if you've been gifted by God or genetically or whatever, you understand gravity is real and you do more push-ups than an inmate, okay? If you're really motivated in this grunt game, you can go get what you want. You can go earn this opportunity. You don't have to be a 6'8" freak or a 6'10" freak that jumps 50 inches. You don't have to try and hit a baseball. You don't have to skate backwards. Like, you can be a grunt and have grunt mentality and go earn it. And that's what I do for my guys. I put them in position to. Colton Ott used to be one of our guys too. He got his first offer and quit the program. I'm not saying that's because of him, but that's what did happen. So it's, there's a lot. Bryce Bolden goes to my kid's school at Mount Vista. I can't get him to come in. He doesn't want to do it, and that's cool. Obviously, he's got his shit together at number 9. But again, it's not who you are right now. It's what you can unlock and who you can be. So this is a bridge. It's not an escalator. I want everybody to understand out there that if you're a parent or a kid and you're trying to find opportunity and everybody's telling you what you can't do, and I love this one. Like Roper left Regis and went to Creek, right? And all of his coaches at Regis told him he was, don't go to 6-0. He can't help you. What does he know? Like there's a strong contingent in Colorado of coaches that want to like tear me down, but they've never met me. They don't come to the gym. They don't know shit. They just hear me say motherfucker on my Instagram page, so they get really offended. And they tell their kids not to come in. And if they do, we'll bench you and you can't go there and you can't help yourself and blah, 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 blah. And I hear that. And I'm like, to the parents and the kids, being controlled and being coached are not the same thing. And in the information age, which is where we live, ignorance is a goddamn choice. And if you're going to let people control you and your dreams and you're not going to chase it, and you have opportunity to do so, and you can come and work here or at 6-0 or some of the other places that are around. We had Pierce Hawley in yesterday. Pierce played at Littleton, went to Georgetown, went to Illinois State. Now he plays in Japan. Just got a new deal, balling out. BJ Betty, great buff, help runs the league. There's the connection there. He was in the gym yesterday just talking about, well, I just keep swinging the hammer and opportunities keep coming. I'm like, that's exactly what Dungeon Family is. Mm-hmm. So I'm proud of my guys that are on this list. Be proud of it for about 24 hours. Post it, tag the coaches, move forward. And if you're at the top of the list and you're happy, what are we happy about? Being at the top of the list. And if you're at the bottom of the list and you're unhappy, what are you unhappy about? Being on the list? Who gives a shit? It's time to go. Like, the work puts you on the list. The opportunity to get better and better and better will put you on other lists. We're not trying to just be on the Prep Red Zone list, no offense. So, look, there's a lot of negativity that comes with all of this. The why aren't I getting recruited? Why is my kid not getting recruited? Why did he get offered? Why is he on the list? My kid's not on the list. It's unbelievable to me. There's so many opportunities out there, and this narrative that's out there that like it's harder to get recruited now out of high school is total bullshit. It's total bullshit. It's easier now for the real guys to find opportunity because they're actually going to put in the work. They're actually going to do what's required to stay, not just get there. Now you got to compete with grown men, literally. You got guys with their 9th year of college football. Do I agree with it? Not necessarily, but at the same time, recruiting high school kids back in the day used to be like, okay, we've got our 12 or 15 that we want, and then we're going to take another 10, and we're going to take 10 flyers, and some of them will be free school guys, and a lot of them don't care, but it eliminates those guys. It eliminates the parents that are just looking for free school. It eliminates the guys that aren't going to put in the work. It eliminates the clout chasers. And it focuses the target on the high school kid, and they don't evaluate him like a kid anymore. They evaluate him and go, can he compete with a man at the next level? Can he compete for his job? Does he know the stuff in the film room? So when I line up with a kid and I go, hey, Brett Cool J or Nick McChesney or Davis Moon or whatever, Deacon Schmidt, do you know 11 3x1 tight end ISO left alpha close bunch right nasty under Sam stack strong safety force cover one fence man? Where's the squeeze gap? Why are they in under? Why are the hashes different? Why are we running Gator? Why are we running Sally? All this bullshit pre-snap, and that's one play. Exactly. Are you competent enough to do the job? And are you aggressive enough to do the job? Do you understand the difference between work and actually doing it correctly so your work is something you can build on foundationally? Are you showing up for attendance reasons, or are you showing up to run shit? So, I'm proud of the 10 kids. It's awesome. But Mark Schlereth is about to come on, and Mark's from Alaska and had to earn everything, went to Idaho, and did the opportunities. He had to scratch and claw for every opportunity he ever got. And that is exactly what I'm looking for. I was undrafted. I had distraction clause. I had moved positions in the middle of my career. The only reason I stayed on the field is because I was aggressive and worked hard, and they can depend on me in that regard. So one thing I can never take away from you or teach you is how to really be yourself and give effort. I can yell at you to run, but I can't make you. And if you're internally lazy, I don't care how many stars they put on your picture next to your name on the internet, how many lists you're on. If you come to 6-0 and you don't do your job, we are going to expose you for the fraud that you are, parents and kids and coaches, mind you. If you come in there and you clout chase and you think you can just come in and be with your buddy and post on social media and that's what it's about, we are going to expose the shit out of you. I like it when Breck and Nick and Deacon and and Reese and Roper and everybody makes people quit. They made 6 defensive linemen quit last year. Not one lineman quit. I wonder why that is. But we had 6 defensive linemen lose on film in the gym, and their parents calling me like, it's too rough. I can't believe you let Deacon do that to my son. And I'm like, let me do that? I'm sorry that your son got grabbed by his fucking throat and dropped on the floor. That's not my problem. That's we got to fix this problem. So look.
Amen.
6-0 Academy is, I say this all the time, but it is not going to be entrusted to the timid or the motherfucking weak. So please, if you show up, show out, and don't come in there just thinking that you can like sign up and it's all just going to pop off. You got to put the work in, and then I'll put you in position to be seen and developed and everything else that you want. But the first thing you have to do is walk in and show me you give a shit enough about yourself, the name on the front and the name on the back. And they both have different importances, but they're both equally important. So don't get exposed, all right? Get exposure, all right? Don't walk out all distraught. Come and get developed, which requires a ton of failure and the ability to learn from it. You're not losing in my room. Are you learning?
There ain't no losses. It's just you learn. Final thing, we're about to bring Mark on. You're opening a new facility, Matt. Fans want to know when that's coming.
Middle of March.
Middle of March. Nice. Well, there you guys go, folks. But we got a special guest in the building here, and I can't wait to get his opinion on a lot of different topics around the NFL, college football, etc. Because this is somebody who has a great perspective, like Matt just mentioned. Our main man, 12-year NFL veteran, legend in the sports media game. Our main man, Mark Schlereth, joins the show. Mark, happy Tuesday, my man. Thank you for joining. How are you doing?
It's my pleasure. I'm doing great, man. It's great to be with you guys. No question about it. I just love. I was listening for the last 5 minutes or so, and I love that whole thing that you expose yourself and all the guys that quit. And it just reminded me of being in college and the guys that I played college football with. And our coaches didn't have to yank scholarships. They didn't have to. We got rid of guys.
Exactly.
Like if you didn't come in and you didn't play and you weren't a badass and you didn't if you came in and half-assed it and cut corners, we would run your ass out of our locker room.
Facts.
I mean, just flat out run your ass out of our locker room. And, we were a little 1AA school. And, there were a lot of guys like me that were either late bloomers or came from smaller schools and stuff. But we had a bunch of badass football players. And we could compete with anybody because we weren't the greatest or most gifted athletes. But, man, like every guy that played on our football team was tough. And if you weren't, it wasn't the coach's responsibility. We would chase your ass out of locker room without even thinking about it. And there was no mercy. As a matter of fact, I remember this guy that walked out in spring ball. And he was like, at the time, he was like a 26-year-old, had been on a mission. He was a big weight room pig, big muscular guy, came out. And like I said, he was probably mid-20s. He walked on. And I remember my offensive line coach, Dan Cazzetto, God rest his soul, they put him at defensive tackle and said, I want this guy to quit by the end of practice. I was like, all right. And, I mean, I did things to him that would have got me 5 to 10 in a state pen during that practice. I mean, just beat the. And to his credit, now I'm going to give him credit. He stayed until the end of practice, and then he walked in, took his shoulder pads and helmet off, turned him into our equipment manager, Don, and said, I'm done. That's like this ain't for me. I mean, we beat the living piss out of that kid, but it was like, hey man, that guy's not going to be a part of our football team. And usually it was us as the players that that controlled that. And so I loved what Matt said about parents whining and bitching and pissing and moaning about, oh, it's too rough or my kid. Dude, you know what stops you from playing in the NFL? Like there's a lot of people who say, if I was gifted enough of an athlete, I would, I just wasn't gifted enough, but I would. No, you wouldn't have. You don't have balls enough to play this game. You just don't.
Yeah.
You don't. And so that's the way it's got to be. And I just love that aspect of it because it is, it just is so interior offensive line, defensive, line, the inside guys. It's like the mantra that we play with. You dominate a line of scrimmage in the National Football League or at any level. I don't care who your quarterback is or your wide receivers. We get all enamored with that. You dominate line of scrimmage, you're going to win probably 85% of your games. Just facts. That's just the way it goes.
And the mindset part of it, Stink, what you're talking about, the great Mark Schlereth joins us. The mindset is really what I'm teaching first. Like all this other shit will come. It's the watching a kid walk in like a Brett Coolidge or my son Nick or Davis Moon or any of these other guys. Like you've been to the facility multiple times.
Yeah.
You know the trend, like watching all those young guys work and watching a guy walk in like Trey Zune's about to get drafted. And he walked in at 14 years old and said, Coach, I want to play at A&M. And I said, brother, do what I ask you to do, and we'll make that happen. And he went there, started 50 games, was an All-American, and so proud of him. But my point is like watching him transition from boy to man and that mental when it clicked. And you're like 15 years old, but you're operating like you're 20, and there's a standard, and you care, and your attention to detail. Back to your story, I bet you if that kid would have came back and busted his ass and worked hard and proven to you guys that he was going to be one of the guys, you would have embraced him with open arms.
There's no question. There's no question. Those guys, even the guys that aren't great players, that are backing up or playing scout team, man, if they're busting their ass and giving the team a look and like you have a connection with those guys.
Yep.
It's the guys that have the victim mentality, or the guys that, oh, woe is me and I got screwed. Not like I don't have any time for that guy. I don't care about that dude. That guy can leave as far as I'm concerned. That's the way it is. The other thing I love about the things that you do is the mental aspect. And, I know you bounced around position by position.
Right.
As did I. I came into college as an offensive lineman. And because I was athletically gifted, could run, could jump, could do all those things, I played defense for 3 years. And, so I played nose guard, I played D tackle, I played D end, outside backer. Like I played all over the place. And then I got hurt so many times. Eventually I was retired from college football, begged my way back onto the roster, ended up switching back over to offensive line from center, where I originally got recruited, over to guard because our fifth best player was a center, and ended up having 1 year of college football where I was healthy. And, and at the time when you're bouncing around, this is what I hate about NIL, because it creates a mentality of soft individuals. Hey man, the going gets tough, man. I just pack up, I go somewhere else. I'm out. Like I'm out. Like the reason I played 12 years in the NFL, and this is something Matt does an exceptional job, the film study stuff, the watching and understanding like how to block things, what defenses are trying to do to you. Like for me, as an offensive lineman going into the league, I had such great experience by playing defense that when I would see somebody that was even a yard, removed from where that player should be as an individual, as a Will linebacker, or as a Sam linebacker, or whatever, my radar would instantly. I walk up the line of scrimmage, go, radar's on, something's coming, right? And so having that knowledge from the neck up, and that's what sets you apart at the next level, from high school to college to professional, having the knowledge of what's going on and what they're trying to do to you. Like I hear people all the time say, hey, offensive linemen tip their stances. Damn right we do. I tip my stance
absolutely right
every freaking play. Hey, like I will let you know what I'm doing because I'm better than you are. And I know that
Doesn't
about
matter
myself.
if you know.
Right. But defensive players are way worse than offensive players. Like I can tell you 100% of the time as an NFL player, when a game is being run, when we're running tackle land or end tackle games, I can tell you by the depth, what guys are peeking at each other. Like if I get a slot corner that's in press, safety over the top, I know that slot corner has the potential of coming, right? If his feet are square, then he's probably in man-to-man coverage. As soon as he gets tilted a little bit, one foot drops back, here comes the blitz because the safety's over the top. Like you can see these things. It's like reading a text in a book. And all you have to do is study. And that defensive experience I had all through college is the reason I was able to play for so long in the NFL. And I wouldn't have had that opportunity had there been NIL, and I would have been afforded the opportunity to tuck my tail between my legs and hike up my skirt and leave.
Yep. Yeah, I always tell everybody in NIL, if you're a grad transfer and you put in time and you want to maximize yourself, like Drake Nugent went to Stanford for 3 years, all Pac-12, graduated, went to Michigan, won a natty. Now he's playing for San Francisco. That's different than it's not working out. I need to leave. And that shit's washed out. I agree with you 100%. Thank you for the kind words there, Stink. And also, you wore 60 for a long time too, so you know. Right. Right off the bat there, brother. All right, so go about half circle back to what we were talking about in college. There's a lot of movement. North Dakota State goes to the Mountain West. Sacramento State goes to the MAC. I don't understand that one. Idaho gets its rivalry back with Boise State. I'm sure you're pumped about that. There's a real quick question about Idaho. You think they have a chance to maybe get into the Mountain West? You want to see them jump, or you like to see them stay in the Big Sky?
I would like to see them stay in the Big Sky. They made that jump once before, Matt. I was against it back then, so many years ago, and I even talked to the administration at the time. I came down and we actually had a conference in Seattle at the time, and I flew out there. Was it in Seattle? I think it was in Seattle. Anyhow, it doesn't matter. It was maybe it was in Boise. It doesn't matter. But I went out there and I spoke to the university. And I just was like, listen, I just disagree with moving up. And part of the reason was when I went to the University of Idaho, we had a bunch of guys like me that probably could have gone, Division One, and rode the pine for 3 years, not really played, and then maybe played their last year. And it was a bottom that was the Oregon State. So you could go to Oregon State and ride the pine for a couple of years, maybe Washington State or that. Right. Or you could go to a top tier 1AA program and play for 3 or 4 years and get get that experience, because there's nothing that prepares you to play like playing. Like sitting on the bench and practicing does not get you prepared to play in games. And so there was a lot of guys like me that looked at that opportunity and said, man, I'd rather go somewhere where I know I can play and I get that experience for 3, 4, 5, or 3 years or 4 years or whatever it is. And it will prepare me more than sitting around for 3 years and getting to play one season of college football. So, I said we didn't have the facilities at the time, and their facilities are better than they were when I was there, but they still aren't. It still isn't an opportunity, I don't think, to move up. So I hope they stay Big Sky. I hope they stay where they are. The Big Sky Conference is a great football conference.
It's really
a great football conference. So I hope they stay where they are and they understand kind of what their realm is. And then you're still getting the top level kind of, I know it's not 1AA anymore, but whatever, FCS or whatever they call it. They get the top level recruits there. And then they get some of the guys like me that could have maybe gone to a little bit higher level, but decide, hey, I'm gonna go somewhere where I can play and not ride the pine for a while.
Yeah, it'll be awesome to see that rivalry back with Boise State as well, and I know that's always a good time in Idaho. Yeah. All right, so moving forward here, Mark, as we talk football back and forth here, you can hear Stink damn near every morning on 104.3. He does color commentary damn near every weekend, if not every weekend. He's one of the best in the business. His eye for detail and just the way that you watch film, it's something that, that I took to heart a long time ago after watching with you and like seeing things that I didn't see right off the bat. You played for Joe Gibbs, won a
Mhm.
Super Bowl. You played for Mike Shanahan, won 2. The Denver Broncos, had a chance this year. I think if Bo's healthy, they're in the Super Bowl. Who knows if they win? Do you see in Sean Payton's football team right here the makings of what was going on in Washington and what was going on in Denver, just from a perspective of you got to go through hard losses. You lost hard games in Washington. It led to a Super Bowl. That Jacksonville game and other games in Denver that led you guys to back-to-back. Could this losing Bo and losing to New England and the disappointment of this year, could that be parlayed into something that sees them hoisting a trophy next year?
Yeah, I don't think there's any question that I always say this. Yeah, I never really learned anything about myself in the good times because I was too busy patting myself on the back. It's it's the tough times. It's the tough times when you learn like how tough you are and the things that you can put up with and the things that you can be critical about your own career and look at yourself, with a critical eye and say, man, that needs to be better. I can't allow that to happen anymore. I haven't looked back to my second year in the league. I got benched my second year in the league for a while. I was pissed because I wasn't playing horribly, but and I got pissed because I looked at it like, well, we hadn't beaten the Giants in the first couple of years or a couple of years previous to me getting to Washington, and then we hadn't beaten the Giants in a while. And when the Giants come up in like week 4, and I'm playing decent, I mean, I'm playing pretty good, and it's the Giants, and I get benched, and I was pissed. I was, I didn't start for like 3 or 4 weeks, and then I got my starting job back. But as I went back and looked at it, I was like, I looked at myself and go, man, I can be so much better than I really was. And so taking responsibility and then having that kind of experience say, that will never happen to me again, ever.
Ever.
Right. Ever. That will never. The only way that I don't play is because I'm injured. That's it. There will never be another opportunity for them to take my job away from me because they thought maybe, just maybe, somebody gives us a little bit more experience or a better opportunity. That's never going to happen again. And it never did, but that doesn't happen if you're a victim, right? That only happens when you take responsibility for the things that happen in your life. And
Amen.
so that was one of the things that, from my perspective, um, has always kind of been a motivator. And you mentioned those hard times, those tough lessons that you learned during the course of this. I think one of the things that if they really look back over the course of the season and they look back at all the games that they pulled out because Bo Nix was phenomenal at the end of the games,
He
and
sure was.
they had big time plays, and he was big, like without those comebacks against Philly, against the Giants, against multiple other teams, Houston, you're looking at a 9-7, or 10-7, 9-8 season. And so I think if you really look back, you look at some of the deficiencies, especially in the run game. And most of the stuff that I watch on a consistent basis in regards to the Bronco is identification issues, especially with motions. So you get into formations, and in today's NFL, we're shifting tight ends across the formation and motion and backs, and everybody responds with motions and everything else. And then all of a sudden, you'll motion one way, and a safety will insert the opposite way, and then you have to make a decision. You have to understand, okay, does the safety who comes down, does he become number one? So then we kick over the next guy who would normally be, let's say he's rotating in strong, the next guy, the Sam, now has to become the Mike, and so on and so forth. Do we push it or do we turn it over? Can a slot receiver, if we're in slot, can our slot receiver take that safety so that we can maintain the integrity of the number count? And what you see, and this is endemic of the NFL in general, but it was really bad with the Broncos on multiple occasions. And I know, Matt, you saw the same thing I saw, is there were so many
Too much.
misidentifications of who we're supposed to block. And ultimately we don't block anybody. And there are free runners at the linebacker position, the safety position, making tackles when we should be pushing out to a safety, or we should be turning that safety over to a slot guy and taking, whoever we're supposed to be taking corresponding to that. So there were a lot of those issues that crept up, especially in critical situations. That is, those things are unacceptable. Like making mental mistakes is unacceptable. And that is something that you have to have control over. So hopefully you look at the situation with Bo Nix, who bailed you out of a lot of things, but you go back and look at yourself critically and say, well, why did we need Bo Nix to bail us out on the offensive side of the ball? Well, we needed him to bail us out late in games because we weren't very efficient when it came to blocking assignments and getting things done correctly right off the bat. And so those would be like my biggest my biggest critique of the Broncos is that stuff has got to be cleaned up. Otherwise, like that will keep you from chasing a championship.
So it's I always thought that, and look, I played defense for so long that when I moved to offense, Bill Callahan was my first coach, and he just handed me a playbook, and I was like, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
And then he handed me like 5 pieces of paper, and he said, forget the playbook. You need to know the plays, but let's simplify everything so it makes it easier. Let's package everything together, and so you can identify things quickly and process things quickly and articulate things quickly at center. And that, like, it would be one word: walk up and just be like, Sarah, and everybody makes their calls and we roll. And it was very effective. I seem to think that less is more. Like Sean's personnel groupings, the constant rotation of personnel, and then, like you said, there's miscommunication between established veterans and 2 all-pros. It's not like you've got 3 rookies and a second-year center and a 5-year tackle, and they're trying to gel. This is everyone's paid, everyone's veteran. Miners and Bulls are 2 of the best in the business. Everyone's been in the system. They all have the same offensive line coach for years now, and we keep seeing the same problem. Is less more, or am I mean, I agree with you that they're doing too much. What do they have to do to fix this problem?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in less is more also, from the standpoint of how big the menu is, right? I want to be an expert at something. So I hate it when I see 8 different concepts like that. Those things bother me. And then how do you pair concepts together? That to me is a big deal. So everybody's going to run a certain amount of zone stuff. Everybody's going to run a certain amount of gap stuff, but which ones pair together well? So to me, like if I'm really pairing, like let's pair a zone with a gap run. Okay. So for me, if I'm running, let's call it we get a bunch of over front, right? So the front side, let's say we're in a right hand formation. So we get a 3 technique over the right guard, right? We're in an over. So what pairs well with counter or with power, let's call it power, for me is belly weak, right? Weak side zone. Because in a weak side zone, that right guard is going to take inside footwork to inside hardcore cut off footwork, working with his tackle in tandem on that tight scoop to that backside backer, right? So if I run that 3 or 4 times, and that 3 technique is trying to cross my face, and he's busting his ass across my face and busting his ass across my face, and or to squeeze back that, he's a B gap player and he's trying to squeeze that to cut, to put my body in the A gap. So there's no real good, run back or cut back lane there, right? So he's squeeze, and we run it 3 or 4 times. And then all of a sudden we run power, right? And now I'm running that same identical footwork and he's squeezing, and then we wheel his ass and we take him 3 gaps beyond where he's supposed to be. And now there's a huge gaping hole there. Like those 2 runs are different conceptually, but they pair well together from a technique. So I always think about, I want to get you from playing kind of a blocking, like from a blocking technique to playing the scheme. I don't want you to play double team. I want you to play that weak side zone, weak side zone, weak side zone. Now all of a sudden I get you playing that, and I use that same footwork, and we wheel your ass on power. Like that's to me powerful, right? But I can't have 10 different things I'm running. I've got to have, wide zone, tight zone, weak and strong. What pairs off of that from the power counter game, that kind of gap game, and then, maybe some toss and pitch stuff. The other thing that I think is imperative in the run game, and I don't know how they call it, but we called everything, if we got into one back, everything became nickel. It became nickel 19 handoff, nickel, 18 handoff, nickel toss. We called toss was weak, pitch was strong. Same concept. But so there were just key terminology that clued you in. So if I heard nickel 18 handoff, right? Or nickel 19 handoff, strong. I heard nickel 19 handoff strong. Now I know we don't have somebody on the front side to take an insert safety. So now I have to push unless I'm in a slot where my slot guy can take that dude. And so instantly, as soon as I hear nickel 19 handoff strong, there are 3 or 4 thoughts that go through my head from a blocking schematic standpoint that I know, okay, these are the things I have to be aware of. And we've got to push to that front side linebacker. So we've got to bring that backside with us to get to the mic. So now all of a sudden, nickel 19 handoff strong, that front side guy, we got to get that front side guy. We can't we don't have a fullback to turn him over to. And then if that safety rolls down, now how do we because if the safety rolled down, what's going to happen to the linebacker? Well, they're going to kick over, right? They're going to boss over, or they're going to slide over weak if that strong safety comes down. And so just the instant things that pop into your brain when you start hearing terminology like that, and those things to me have got to be a part of the system that you're calling, so that we're triggered to all that stuff right off the bat.
Bailey, a couple more here for Mark, and we'll get him out of here.
No doubt. Mark Schlereth put on a clinic here on 0 to 60. Mark, I produced Sean Salisbury's show. He told me to tell you what's up, man. Sean's the man, so
Nice.
He told me to say hi.
Absolutely.
But I wanted to ask you about Hall of Fame, Bill Belichick, Robert Kraft, not first ballot Hall of Famers. What was your reaction to seeing that? I was really shocked. I think it's kind of criminal. What's your reaction to it?
Yeah, I was shocked too, but that's the Hall of Fame voters. I mean, like, they talk about, well, we want to get some of the old guys in, and it's the system is broken, and obviously there's always going to be those guys that are going to go, oh well, Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft, they circumvented the rules. There was Spygate, there was this, that, and the other, and so there's always going to be that. But look at, man, I mean, I played for Mike Shanahan. Mike Shanahan's not in the Hall of Fame.
How is that possible?
Right. I look at, like, the first time I met Sean Payton asked me to come in and speak to the Saints. And so I roll in that evening, and they've got evening, nighttime meetings. I meet in the meetings, and Sean runs me up to his office and goes, come here. And back then it was all the beta tape stuff, right? And so we're in his office. He puts in the beta of the 97, 98 Broncos, and we just start watching. And he's like, look at this. This is, motion of fullback getting into base, 2 back, motion of fullback outside the numbers. And, and he goes, Mike Shannon created these man versus zone reads based on motions of the backs. He created that. He took the Bill Walsh West Coast passing game and paired it with the wide zone, tight zone run game and all the boot keep action off of it. Mike Shanahan, and I don't know what the percentage is, but you look at his coaching tree and you look at the teams that run a variation, the root of his offense is the base of their offense, and they run variations from LaFleur to Sean McVay to Zach tailor to, like, I mean, it goes on and on. I bet you 65% of the teams in the National Football League are running a variation. Clint Kubiak, they just won the Super Bowl. Like, Mike McDonald meeting with him this year, calling a Seahawks game, going the toughest offense I've ever had to defend as a play caller and a coordinator was any variation of the Mike Shanahan offense. So Sean
Yeah.
McVay and all those guys. And he goes, that's why I hired Clint Kubiak. That's why I dumped my offensive coordinator that came from college and hired Clint Kubiak, because this is the toughest offense I've ever had to defend. And 65% of the teams are running it. And Mike Shanahan created it. How is Mike Shanahan not in the Hall of Fame? Like,
Yeah, it's a travesty.
right. It's, and I, a lot of the guys who vote don't know shit about football anyhow. So,
Well,
like, I'm like, I can't really blame them because they don't know. And so it just is. Yeah, Bill Belichick should be in, Robert Kraft should be in, Mike Shanahan should be. There's a lot of guys that should be in that for whatever reason they have to wait, and I think that's silly, but it is what it is.
Yeah, they need to do a better job with that, honoring the men that built this game by doing the right thing and putting them in the hall.
Right. One more story for you. So I have the presenter who's presenting. Oh gosh, why is the name escape me right now? Steve Hutchinson.
All right, yeah.
So Steve Hutchinson, one of the great players ever,
Unbelievable
right?
player.
And goes from Seattle to Minnesota, and ended. I mean, it's his presenter, and he's up against, I don't know, 3 or 4 guys who are sure locked. They're going to the Hall of Fame. And he's like, I just don't know. I don't know if I can get him in. I don't know what to say in the presentation that's going to set him apart from everybody else, and blah, 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 blah. And I looked at this presenter, and this is probably this is part of the problem with the Hall of Fame. I looked at the presenter, I go, are you serious? And he goes, yeah, like, I don't know what sets him apart. And I said, walk in and say poison pill and slam your hand on the table. I go, the NFL, he was so freaking valuable and he was so good that the Minnesota Vikings created the poison pill because they thought he was that big a difference maker so that Seattle couldn't match it. Just go poison pill, slam your hand on the table and go, I rest my case. I go, it's not that hard. Like, it's not that. You don't have to present statistics. You don't have to go, oh, he never gave up. Like, no, he was so valuable that they created something so that nobody could match the offer. I go, like, you guys need to understand, like, how we look at the game versus how the people who write about it look at the game. Like, start to learn it or ask somebody who knows.
Yeah, and the other thing is they shouldn't have to sell the Hall of Famers. Like, I got to get up there and present Hutchinson. What am I going to say? You walk up there and say Steve Hutchinson and walk off the fucking stand. That's right. That's all you got to say. All right, couple more for you here, brother. You brought up Clint Kubiak. He goes to the Raiders, obviously Gary's son, and I've known Clint forever. You obviously know Clint and Gary, and that whole tree is now moving to Vegas. But Max Crosby is rumored to be on the move. And I saw, he's going to go everywhere, but I saw something about him potentially coming to Denver. I'd be giving up the 30th pick and Jonathan Cooper in a heartbeat for Max Crosby. Tell me why I'm wrong.
You're not. Max Crosby is a freak show. And let me just say that, I always make fun of defensive linemen not being smart. That's why they play D-line. I was a D lineman for a while too. I get it. Max is one of the smartest players, like, just reading formations, understanding what you're trying to do to him, reading motions, reading the offensive stances of, the stances of offensive linemen. The dude is ridiculous. I mean, just ridiculous. The effort with which he plays, but he puts himself in position to make incredible plays. And I said this broadcast in a Raiders game. Max Crosby can completely wreck a game without ever putting up a statistic, without ever compiling a statistic. He is that dynamic a football player. So, yes, without question, if he was, I find it hard. I know that everybody talks about it, and I've seen all the rumors out there. I think they went out and got his defensive line coach, who I know he loves. They retained him, made him, I think, the coordinator to entice Max to stay. Um, I find it very hard if they were going to find a trade partner that would trade him within the division. But I think that Max Crosby is going to be a Raider. I just have a hard time seeing them move him. Although I think it makes sense if you're the Raiders, because there's so many things that they have to get better at. There's so many positions that they have to address, and Max Crosby would fetch, a king's ransom. But I have a hard time seeing them trade him inside their own division.
All right, last question I got for you. And Bailey, you got any more? Or are you good?
Yeah, one more.
All right, cool. Last one you got for me. I'm a traditionalist, man. I can't help it. I think the Indians should still be named the Indians. I just, it's just the way I feel. I feel like the Redskins should still be the Redskins. Just explain to me your thoughts, being a guy who won a Super Bowl and you're a hog, and like the importance of just, it's no longer hail to the Redskins. It's hail to the Commanders. It's just not the same.
Right. No, it's not. It's not. And I think, it depends on, the root. If you're listening to the actual history of it or the revisionist history of it, and it's like you talk about the Indians, which I think are originally the I saw a podcast the other day, the Wahoos. They went from the Spiders, but it was because they had the only two Indian guys on their roster, and the guys in the locker room want to honor the guys. Like, hey, let's call ourselves the Indians, right?
You're a fact.
Right. And so, a lot of what people, and I played for the Skins, and it was like we were always told, hey man, this was, it was something that like the chief, of the tribe, they went and they asked permission to use the name, and they designed the logo, and it was all done as as a form of honoring. And again, like, this is how it was always presented to me. And I'll tell you, I haven't done a lot of history work on that or whatever, but I've just gotten to the point where I just call them Washington, because they're not the Commanders, they're not the football team, they're the Redskins to me. And so, as opposed to getting myself in trouble on a broadcast and calling them the Redskins, which I've done, I just call them Washington. And that's the easiest way for me to to kind of remember it. But yeah, I would love to see the logo come back. I would love to see them become the Redskins again. But we live in this crazy time in our society where I don't know that that's going to happen, but I'd love to see it happen.
Bailey, one more for the good Mark Schlereth.
And to your point, Mark, I mean, I've done interviews and different things about this. I mean, the Native American Guardians associations come out saying they want the name back and stuff. I've interviewed several people of full Native descent. They're saying, hey, that ain't offensive. We honor that. Like, we want it back. So I think you're spot on there. My final question to you, Mark. You called several Browns games this past season here. Got to see all the quarterback shenanigans, Shedeur Sanders, and now Deshaun Watson. It's going to be a quarterback battle seemingly this offseason under new coach Todd Monken. What are your thoughts on that battle in Cleveland?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't know who's pulling the strings there, if it's the owner, in regards to that. I think, and having talked to that staff and called a bunch of those games, and talking to several defense coordinators around the league that had to face Shedeur, I think he's a ways away from being a legitimate NFL quarterback at this point. He's got some skills. I think he's accurate, and he can make some throws. But ultimately, I still think he's got a ways to go. We'll see what Deshaun Watson looks like. I called a game late in the season between Tennessee and Cleveland in Cleveland, so I got to watch Deshaun Watson practice. I got to watch him. It was mostly pre-practice. He didn't take any reps in the regular practice, but a lot of pre-practice throws, movement skills. Like, there's a difference between doing it on air and actually doing it in the game. But he looked like he was progressing well. He was throwing the ball well. It didn't look like he had any residual effects. His arm strength looked great. His athleticism looked great. And so I would imagine because they're paying him so much money, he's going to get the first crack at being the starter there under Todd Monken. But I think there is quite a long way to go for Shador to be a legitimate. I'm not saying he can't because I think he's got some skills, but to being a legitimate NFL starting quarterback. And so of course you say that, and then you get the Shador stands that are just going to crush you, right?
Oh, the prime sexuals are going to be out on this.
Is what we call them, the prime sexuals.
Yeah.
Prime sexuals.
Yeah. So, I mean, that'll be that. But, like I said, I've talked to guys who coordinate in this league, who are good friends of mine, who have faced him, who have studied the film, and a lot of them think the same thing, and that's where you formulate your opinion. And I watched a bunch of film. I sat down with him. I met with him before the game. I think there's a lot of growth that has to happen. And do I think he's a full-time starter in the league and he's going to set the league on fire? And do I think, I hate the term, but he's him and all that? No, I don't think any of that stuff. I think he's got a long way to go to become a legitimate big-time NFL starter.
And it's a privilege to play in this league, as you said many times. And, it's a privilege that he's going to have to get better and go compete with Deshaun Watson and, prove it. That's the beauty of this league is you're always going to get a chance to prove it. They're never going to just be like, oh, this guy can help us, but we like him more. They're not just, that's not the way the league works, in my opinion, at least.
Right. Well, I always found it I always found it comical when I hear people talk about, well, they're sabotaging him. You know how hard it is to coach in this league and get the opportunity to coach in this league. Do you think all of a sudden Kevin Stefanski's pulling out, let me get the shitty list of plays. Let me get the shitty list. Like, let's give Shador the shit list. All right, we're calling the shit plays for him. We're calling the good plays for Gabriel or Flacco. But for him, do you guys understand how stupid you sound? Like, it just is, it's it's unbelievable. And this happens on network television. Guys who are paid to be analysts, it blows my mind. And if you talk to the guys who are coaching him every day, they would tell you all the things. And again, then it will be the conspiracy theorists. Well, the coaches are lying to you, But guys I know and guys I trust, guys that are trying to develop the guy and guys who are putting their time in with the guy they're not derogatory. They're just like, hey man, there's a lot that he has to do better to be a legitimate starter in the league. And so, I trust that those guys are trying to save their jobs and trying to be as good as they can be. There's a reason Kevin Stefanski got fired by Cleveland and instantly got scooped up by Atlanta because he's a damn good coach. He really is.
He's going to have some tools in Atlanta, too. They got a nice young roster. We'll see what Kyle Pitts does. I will say this, Shador, football karma is something I talk about with my guys all the time. My kid, we talk about it on the show constantly. Football karma is like, you get spited by someone or beat, it's coming back around.
Yeah.
You get beaten in one-on-ones, it's coming back around. So I love how, football karma happened to Shador and Prime and everybody say no to Baltimore just to end up getting coached by Monken in Cleveland. Yeah. So, it's just most of the time in this life, saying no to opportunity doesn't really work out. I'd like to see how the relationship goes with, right when Monken got hired, every prime sectional in the world was like, oh, why does this guy get the job? And you even had, what was it, Ryan? Did Ryan Clark come out and say, or no, Acho came out and said, why should Shador listen to Monken? What has he done? And I'm sitting there like, what is happening in the football world that I've been and lived in my whole life? Like, you're not going to listen to the coach? What?
Right. Yeah. I would say, what did Shador do that would give Shador the authority not to listen to a coach. It just is like, he's like, yeah. Acho came out and said he hasn't won anything. Well, Shador hasn't won anything. Like,
I'm more mad at Acho for doing it, and not mad. I'm more disappointed in him because this turns the bullseye to Shador, and he didn't have anything to do with this. He didn't bring up the fact that like he's not going to listen to anybody. That's just Acho running his mouth.
Yeah, no question about it. It'll be really interesting because, like I said, and the biggest skill set that he has, man, is accuracy and timing is great versus man-to-man stuff. Against the man-to-man stuff, like Shador is really good. It's versus, and this is a lot of young quarterbacks, by the way. It's versus the zone stuff. When you get a lot of zone stuff and you get a lot of combination coverages and you got to fit it into windows and you got to throw it with timing and stuff. Those are the places. And again, this is not only film study, but this is coaches that coaching him saying these are the things that he has to get dramatically better at. And if they give us man-to-man in certain blitz situations, like he can make a dude miss back there, he can hold on to the ball, and he'll make you pay with an unbelievable accurate, dime piece. The issue that you get into, and this, Matt, I mean, how many teams, like, what's the average percentage of just straight man-to-man stuff that you run? I mean, you get a lot of zone match stuff. Anything that, anytime you run and cover 3, you're matching on the outside any vertical routes.
University of Colorado is man coverage all the time, but other than that, not really anybody.
Right. Well, not in professional football, you may get 30% man coverage on any given Sunday.
Yep.
And
they're showing you a lot of man coverage too, and then playing different stuff behind it. So it confuses.
Correct. But the bottom line is, most teams aren't just going to line up. Now you're going to get some critical situations. You're going to get some third down and 3rd and 4 to 6, where you're going to get some blitz man-to-man stuff, and you're going to get that. But any that 3rd and long, you're usually going to get some type of 2 sticks or some kind of zone that makes you throw it underneath, and they're going to rally up and try to tackle you. But like there's, you're going to get some, but like I would say probably 35% tops that you're getting man coverage on any given Sunday. So you're going to have to throw it. You're going to have to throw it primarily against zone coverages, and you have to be good at that. And those are areas where he has to increase and become better.
The great Mark Schlereth stinks. Thank you so much for coming on the show. You're the man. You can hear him every morning on 104.3, and he'll be all over the offseason and doing his thing. Mark, thank you, brother. Take it easy.
You got it, my friend. You got it. Take care, guys.
Later, brother.
Have a great Tuesday. Shout out to Mark Schlereth. Yeah, man, what an interview. That was a clinic, man. Unbelievable. Mark Schlereth is the man.
So did you see this? Did you see this shit?
Okay, so yes, I did see this. So I guess we'll close on this.
Call back and be like, yo, what the fuck is going on in IMG?
So let me pull this up. So yeah, I did see this morning. We're gonna save the rest of the news for tomorrow. But Matt, what's up with
IMG? Don't even tell me yet. I just want to introduce it.
We don't know the news. Don't worry, you don't know the news. So IMG. So I can't believe this shit. So news story came out this morning that IMG Academy was fined $1.7 million for accepting tuition from families tied to a Mexican drug cartel. Oh, so they're taking cartel money.
Oh yeah, and I would bet this is real.
It's real. This is a real story. This is no bullshit.
Oh, yeah. I would bet that there's some Russian mob dudes there. I bet you there's some Chinese mob dudes there. I bet you there's just mob dudes everywhere. You got to find a way to fucking wash your money somehow. Private school sounds pretty good to me. God damn, they are getting down in Florida, homie. Shit.
Yeah, they're cracking down in Florida, to say the least.
And people are like, how is this IMG's fault? They make you like do financial reports and shit when you go to private school.
Is there a background check?
They're going to check where your money's coming from. Yeah, they're going to background check things. I'm sure that they can figure it out, but somebody obviously dug into this. If I reached out to Breck, I don't want to throw him under the bus if he does get back to me, but at the same time, like he's gone. He's at USC. So
Right. Yeah.
like I can only imagine the crazy shit that goes on. Florida #1 is fucking just no rule central. So except for weed, you can't smoke weed there. But everything else is legal.
Like Tennessee,
So this is crazy. I can't believe this. This is fucking nuts, dude.
Dog, I mean, this is a wild story. I gotta
God damn, dog. I need to call an Escobar down in fucking Colombia and be like, yo, I need some fucking funding. What's up?
So I'm gonna get some more information on this so we can kind of
Can
find
you
out what
funding?
the fuck is going on. I just saw this headline. I was like, oh, I know Matt's gonna love this.
God damn, dog.
Yeah, so IMG fined for accepting money from families tied to the Mexican drug cartel. Oh boy. Matt, I mean, that interview with Mark Schlereth was unbelievable. That was a great interview.
Awesome.
We got his perspective on
cut up a bunch of
Redskins,
those birds.
Broncos, everything. I mean, shit, that was great. We'll be back tomorrow.
Let
Here
me
on
ask this question, and this is something for everybody to think about before we go. How much of the NIL money outside of the salary cap is dirty?
Ooh.
How much of it is
that's a good
dirty
question.
money? How much of it is, because you can't say it's not. You can't say that some of it's not dirty, because this is just the tip of the iceberg, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
third
come
party,
on,
like
dude.
what is it really vetted? Like, there's no real, there's no
Well,
fucking rule.
No one gives. Look, it's just like politics. No one cares where the money comes from. They just care about giving the money.
Right,
I don't give a fuck where the
exactly.
money came from. I care about how much money I'm getting, and then it's
75%
forgiveness,
like
not
Monday
permission,
says.
right? Like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that the money was dirty. My bad. Instead of like, yeah, all right, could you give me some dirty money? No one asks for dirty money. That's not the way it works. It's forgiveness and permission, right? So 50%, 75%. That's I would bet that, yeah. Like, this is why I'm advocating for CU to just find the biggest weed dealer in Colorado, and they can name the stadium, and we can start fucking peddling green gold. For real. I'm not fucking playing. I'm dead serious.
I know. Oh, I know you're
The
serious.
University of Colorado should go find whoever has the most fucking weed money and do whatever you got to do to make sure they're your money man, and go fucking start paying people with green. I'm not saying pay them with eights and fucking quarters and shit. I'm saying pay them based on the revenue, based off the fucking weed money, dog. Name it Starbud Stadium at Folsom Field, and let's fucking go.
I mean, you think your student section smells loud now? Oh,
It
shit.
smells like dope in there all the time.
You just wait till they fucking
90% of the
shit.
team is smoking right goddamn now. And that's
Yeah.
not just in Boulder. Everyone smokes. Come on, dog. Miss me with this. Oh, they're all great types on there. And they're not bad kids for smoking dope. I'd rather than smoke than drink. I'd rather you smoke and eat a pizza and take your bitch ass to sleep than fucking drink a fifth and call some strippers and call it a night. Like, fuck, man.
That's true. I
Boulder
agree.
jail's fun, let me tell you.
Absolutely. Well, Matt, we'll be live tomorrow here to break down the rest of this news. Denver Broncos, Colorado, and so much more here. But man, if you guys didn't get to, yeah, we're gonna give you an update on the IMG Academy situation with the Mexican drug cartel, because that's some wild shit for sure. Man, and yeah, like I mentioned, if you guys haven't seen it or watched it earlier, go listen to the Mark Schlereth interview. Man, that was a hell of an interview. It was an honor having him on the show, getting his perspective on all things Denver Broncos. Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick not being in the Hall of Fame. He talks about NIL. He talks about it all. So go listen to the full interview here. We'll also post Matt's Whitlock interview this morning. So go listen to that. Go listen to all the clips and stuff, whatnot. And we will be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Mountain Time on 0 to 60, the premier show for Colorado Buffaloes football coverage. Thank you to Mike Bundy. Thank you to Mike Bundy, donated $100, by the way. I don't know if you saw that, Matt.
All right, Mike. Thanks, brother.
He was giving it to Nick's. He said someone needs new shoes. So, Mike Bundy, we appreciate you. We appreciate, everybody else in the chat, Brian Johnson, Graham Bucket, and everybody else, man. We appreciate all the support. Lamar West in the house. Shout out to Devin West. Man, that kid can play too, man. I'm excited to see him grow as he gets older. And everybody else in the chat, we appreciate you. We will see you tomorrow. Matt, any closing thoughts before we get out of here?
Yeah, so IMG got fined $1.7 million. How much money do you think they made? Because it's more than 1.7.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You can find me 1.7 all you want if I'm getting 107.
Right. There's something not adding up here, dog.
What the fucking fuck, dog? I'll tell you. I just don't know how in this country you're supposed to play by the fucking rules. I don't get it. They're guidelines, by the way. They're guidelines. They're not really laws. The rules are guidelines. Just keep that in mind. Keep it in mind. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
That's some game right there. Guidelines, not rules. Man, we'll be back tomorrow here. Go check out all of our clips, all of our vertical clips here. Go look at Matt on TikTok. Matt's blowing up, yelling at his kids on TikTok and whatnot. Hips, that's always a thing on TikTok as well.
Coaching.
So, yes, coaching. Of course. Coach Matt, of course. Yeah, I should have prefaced it by that. But
get your shit together, Bailey. Fuck.
Well, when you coach,
you fucking produce like old people. Fuck.
Man, you know damn well when you coach, you yell, and that's part of the game. That's part of every goddamn coach. So that is completely normal to all those who think that's crazy. But man, yeah, we'll be back tomorrow here. Matt, anything else? Any closing thoughts to give to our Colorado Buffaloes fans and people watching the show?
No. Have a good day.
Have a good day, folks. We'll see you tomorrow. Go check out the Mark Schlereth interview from earlier. See you guys tomorrow. Peace.